Morning. Good morning. Good morning. It's Mark here. It's another morning rant. Time on deck. 5:30. Hey, I know I'm kind of something like Bear Away right now, but give me a second to clear up. So let's get into the news. There's a lot going on, of course. Not going to deny that. A lot going on. One thing I want to focus on today is it should be short. So hopefully, let's see. What I want to focus on today is executive privilege. Executive privilege. What is executive privilege? Loosely defined, it's the president. The president invokes executive privilege when he thinks that divulging this information is going to hinder negotiations, hinder national security, and things like that. Right? The first executive privilege, and there's no executive privilege in the Constitution. There's nothing executive privilege in the Constitution. There's no definition of executive privilege in the Constitution. Just like there's no cabinet in the Constitution. There's no cabinet. The president's advisors, they later got advice and consent. I mean, there was advice and consent in the Constitution, but there was no cabinet. And George Washington said that, hey, I'm going to need people that are expertise in certain areas of government or certain areas of business. I'm going to need their help. So he got Thomas Jefferson, who was good at international affairs, Secretary of State. He got Henry Knox, who was like the lowest of the totem pole as far as people with qualifications are concerned, but he made him War Department Secretary. You had someone like Alexander Hamilton, who was good in finances, made him Treasury Secretary. So these people, these offices were invented by George Washington to include executive privilege. In 1792, during the Jay Treaty, Chief Justice John Jay went over to England to negotiate a treaty because they didn't want to get involved in any kind of wars. Young country. Country was founded in 1789. The country was founded 1783 under the Articles of Confederation, but the United States was founded in the United States under the Constitution was founded in 1789. So from 1789 to 1792, it's not a lot of time. So the House of Representatives wanted to see the negotiations because a lot of people didn't like the negotiations. A lot of people vilified George Washington and John Jay for that treaty with Britain. And the House of Representatives wanted to see any kind of letters and papers and documents in association with that negotiation. And George Washington said, "No, you don't have the right to see this." So he said that it was the Senate, because they approve all negotiations, they approve all treaties. It's not the House that has the authority to see these papers. It's the Senate. So he didn't give it to the House. He gave it to the Senate. So executive privilege has been used since George Washington established it. It's been used 44 times. Most notably, it was used 20 times under Dwight Eisenhower's administration. And that was during the 1950s, during the McCarthy era, during the communism era. Now, it's funny to me how this one guy has gotten an era. We have listed an American era after this guy. Of course, we have the Jacksonian era after Andrew Jackson. We have the Jeffersonian era after Thomas Jefferson. But this lone crazy guy, McCarthy, and accusing, he held up a sheet of paper in Congress and said, on this piece of paper is a list of communists in this country. And that freaked out everybody in the 1950s and 60s. They investigated Martin Luther King for communist sympathies. They investigated Thurgood Marshall for communist sympathies. The FBI had a tight grip on presidents, J. Edgar Hoover. But anyway, But executive privilege was used 44 times since its inception, and Dwight Eisenhower used it 20 times during the McCarthy era. Obama used it during Fast and Furious. Of course, Nixon used it during Watergate. Clinton used it during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. Trump, and here's where I'm getting at. Trump is trying to use it now. Why now? If you notice, every time I've said a name, it was a president serving during their term. Donald Trump is trying to exert executive privilege after he's out of office, and this is where the Supreme Court is going to come into play. Now, Trump is smart when it comes to this. He can delay a lot of things by suing and taking it all the way up, let it go through the district courts, the circuit courts, the federal courts, all the way up to the Supreme Court. Like he can delay this thing as long as he can until hopefully 2022 when the Democrats lose. Hopefully when the Democrats lose and the Republicans take over. So his plan is going to be he's going to sue the National Archives and Records Administration. He's going to sue the president to withhold records, because all their records go to the National Archives and Records Administration. Just a little humble brag, I had to turn down a position with NARA. Man, it was right before coronavirus really broke out. I got accepted for a position at the National Archives and Records Administration, but I digress. That's just humble brag. All their records, emails, documents, papers, writings, notes, everything goes to NARA, and they file it, categorize it, and put it up. Well, Trump may sue them to withhold that information, but he also may sue the White House because President Biden has come out and said, hey, some of these documents that Donald Trump and his people sent to me do not fall under executive privilege. So he's going to give it out because they're trying to investigate the January 6th attack. And so Donald Trump is trying to come back and say, hey, I still exert executive privilege. I'm the president. I'm the former president. Now, technically, his title is President Donald Trump, or the 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump, because he is the 45th president of the United States. But most presidents don't see it like that. They're former presidents. Barack Obama is the 44th president of the United States, but we're not on the 44th. We're on the 46th. So it's obvious that Barack Obama is not president because he's the 44th, right? Donald Trump is saying, I'm the 45th president. He has people out there really calling him the 45th president of the United States. Even when it doesn't really sound right, they would say the 45th president, just to say that he's still president. And then he had a rally in Iowa where he admitted that he didn't concede, which he didn't concede, and that the election was a fraud and things like, the usual speech that he gives. But the court has got to decide now. Does executive privilege apply to former presidents? It's in the title. It's called executive privilege. You're not an executive. And I would submit to you that a lot of times that presidents tried to use executive privilege, it failed. It failed under Nixon. It failed under Clinton. It failed under, I want to say some of Bush's executive privilege implementations failed too. So the court has got to decide this. And Trump is going to use this to push it through to hold off on the investigation. Like the people need to know, just like with the quote unquote Russia investigation and the insurrection impeachment hearings, the people need to know certain things. Now I get it. If this country, or if the president was doing something that was gonna that was in the best interest of our national security. I get it. I understand. And there are some secrets that we just don't need to know. But the same argument can be made that this country needs to be open and fair and honest. We don't need to be like some other countries, and I'm not going to call out any countries, but some countries that keep things from the people. That's not what this country is about. This country is about openness. It's about open government. It's about the people governing themselves. So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. So yeah, hey, I kept it under 20 minutes. I'm good. So executive privilege is the next thing on the chopping block. Whether or not the court gives Donald Trump the okay to invoke executive privilege, even though he's not the president. I submit to you that he doesn't have that option. It's up to the current administration to decide whether or not they want to release papers. Now, the flip side of that is this. Biden is in a bind because if Donald Trump sues for this privilege, one, a president can come in and do whatever they want, and the incoming administration has to withhold that information. Two, if he gives the information, then the next administration can come out and give information. So let's say Joe Biden decides to withhold that information. So now we're never going to know what Trump was involved in, because Joe Biden invoked executive privilege over Trump material. So that sets a precedent. On the other hand, Joe Biden leaves office and a Republican comes in, and there's certain things that Biden don't want released. The incoming administration can release everything. So it's shaky ground for the executive. And the question is, hey, do the American people have the right to know everything? I submit to you that we do. Again, there are some things that we really don't need to be knowing, but in overall speaking, yes, we need to know. So that's the problem. That's the conundrum that we're in right now. And give it to Trump. He's shaking up what it means to be president. So anyway, let me get up out of here. Today is Tuesday. You guys have a great day. I'm going to have a great day. Have a great week. I will see you guys on the next one. All right. I'm out of here. Y'all take care.